What is up, everybody? Stacey Blackwood here, joined as always by Jake Thomas for another edition of Tide Talk Live to recap Alabama's dominating win over Louisiana Monroe 63-7 on Saturday. Jake, how you doing, brother?
Doing good, man. It's got summer's reared its ugly head here in Alabama. It's gotten hot again, but I think this might be the last heat wave per se. But man, I'll be glad when fall gets here.
You ain't kidding. I'm sick. I'm sick of the heat. Sick of the heat.
Yeah,
I'm ready. I'm ready. I just want to skip fall and go straight to winter. But
yeah, yeah. It'd be
but
nice. So you know what
yeah.
it does here.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we'll leave the weather talk to the Weather Channel. We're here to talk Alabama football, Jake. Alabama kind of gets back to their winning. I know they won against Texas, but they get back to their dominating ways against Louisiana Monroe, getting that big win on Saturday. Kind of a complete performance from Alabama, offense, defense, and special teams. We're going to talk just a little bit about that performance here in just a few minutes. But as always, if you're not already, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up. Jump in the comments and let us know your reactions to Alabama's defeat of the Warhawks this past Saturday. Jake, as we look back at this game, I know you can't take a ton from it. It is Louisiana Monroe. It's a group of 5 team. Uh, what is something you took away from this game, or a couple things you took away from this game that you might have learned from this Alabama football team?
Well, I didn't get to watch the game live Saturday. I had a wedding to go to. I don't know who plans weddings during the Alabama football season, but it was. So I actually recorded. So I've been watching all weekend. I finished it up just a few short minutes ago before we started recording. I will say, from reading, over the weekend on what people were saying, they said, yeah, it was a dominating win, but it didn't feel like it because it seemed like the offense kind of struggled. But I don't want to talk about the negatives. We can talk about negatives all day. Let's talk about a few positives that I did take away. Alabama's run game is this close for breaking out. And Jahmyr Gibbs, of course, is having a great season. He's doing exactly what we thought in the passing game and all that. But Jace McClellan is ready to break out because he had that one long run against Texas. Roydell Williams in this game this past weekend had the entire ULM Monroe team on top of him, and he somehow gets out of it and he gets a touchdown. I don't know how he did that. That was incredible. He's ready to break out. Number 2, we know that there's not the chemistry still not there between Bryce and his receivers, but Holden is starting to look more and more like that next guy that's going to be the breakout star at wide receiver. The 2 had a great game, and freshman I think it's Amani Niblack or
Amari
Niblack. He looks really good defensively. I'll go one other thing. Two other things. Jaheim Otis is going to be a problem. I'm sorry. I mean, he's already a problem. Hey, it seems like he's in the backfield every time he's in the lineup or on the field. And the last thing, the linebacking core that Alabama has, Jalen Moody has been exceptional this year, but Toa finally showed up for Alabama. He had flashes last year, but he took over this game and had a great game this past weekend. So hopefully they all can build on that momentum because we're going to need them in a few weeks when we go to Arkansas because we know Alabama struggles on the road this past couple of seasons. But, I mean, that run game, I feel it's just that close to being where it needs to be.
Yeah, I really agree with all that you had to say, and of course, there's always negatives that you can take away from each and every contest,
Right.
even blowout wins like this one, and yeah, the offense never really found a rhythm, but part of that was because of how effective the special teams unit was.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
every time Alabama got the ball, they were already in plus territory, so you're never going to develop a rhythm when you have 2 or 3 play drives, which they had several times. They scored a defensive touchdown. They scored 2 special teams touchdowns. So it's hard to find a rhythm when you're, getting points in different ways and when you're always in plus territory. When you can't ever have any long drives, 10, 12 play drives because you're always in plus territory, it's hard to establish any type of rhythm. But I agree with you. The running game seems to be improving. And I think, like you said, it's just about chemistry with those young wide receivers and Bryce Young because I don't think the Alabama coaching staff knows who they want to play yet at wide receiver.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, this week it was Isaiah Bond instead of Kobe Prentice. I mean, it was so they're playing a ton of guys. They're trying to figure out, the right mix of players. And you have to remember, JoJo Earl, the starting slot is not yet played. And Tyler Harrell, the really talented Louisville transfer, has not played yet. Jake, you could make the argument they are 2 of the top 4 most talented receivers we have on our roster.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Getting those guys back are going to be huge. And JoJo Earl and Bryce Young have chemistry already. They played together last season. So I'm not giving up on the passing game just yet. I think that's very premature. We played 3 games. It's still too early to tell about those types of things. And you talked about the running game. That series with Rodell Williams, when he really just ran the ball every single play for about 5 plays until he scored, he ran right behind freshman guard Tyler Booker, Jake, who I don't know how Alabama's going to keep him off the field. I don't know if they take out Cohen, if they take out Ekiyor, but I don't know that he's not our best guard, period.
I agree. I mean, he had a great game.
He is a hoss. He is physical. He is aggressive. He has that mentality that you want in an offensive lineman, kind of that Landon Dickerson mentality where he's gonna make you quit. I mean, that's what he's gonna make you do. And I'm anxious to see how they continue to use him with this Alabama offense because, like I said, it looks like he's battling either Ekiyor or Cohen for one of those starting guard spots. And it would not shock me before it's all said and done if he is one of those guards. And I'm excited to see how that kind of plays out. Other than that, I'm really happy with the offensive line, Jake. Tyler Steen has been solid. Darren Dalcourt has been phenomenal, in my opinion. I mean, he's been one of the best centers in the SEC in this young season. J.C. Latham is finding his groove there at right tackle. So I think by the time the season, is 6-8 games in, we're going to be looking at this Alabama offensive line as one of the top offensive lines in the SEC, and we're really going to be proud of what we're rolling out there each and every possession on offense. And then about that time as well is when you're going to see the receivers start to mesh with Bryce Young and like you mentioned, Cameron Latou. You can tell him and Bryce have that good chemistry because they're just in sync. They're in rhythm every time Bryce targets him. So that's obviously something very positive that was taken away from this ULM game. And you talked about the running game. We've talked about how the depth at running back is just it's lethal. Jake, you got Gibbs, McClellan, Rodell Williams, Trey Sanders, Jamarian Miller's a beast. I mean, I'm really happy with the backfield at Alabama, and I'm with you. Yeah. It's that close from being elite, and it could happen sooner rather than later.
Exactly. I got 2 more points I want to make real quick. Kendrick Law. I remember, and it stuck with me because, at Alabama, you always hear about how Saban wants his receivers to get downfield and block. Kendrick Law, I think it was like the first possession of the third quarter, we threw like a little pass out to Gibbs, and he Kendrick Law absolutely destroyed his guy and then got upfield and got another guy. I mean, that is the type of wide receiver that if he's not going to get the ball, he's going to go find somebody to hit. And I love that mentality.
Well, that's what's going to get you more reps and playing time. So that's definitely big news. We talked about receivers, and that's a guy we didn't talk about until now. So I think people need to remain patient with this Alabama offense. That's all I can really say about the offense moving forward. Just be patient. We're 3 games in. A really young wide receiver core who ain't going to do nothing but get better. So I'm excited about what's coming in a few weeks.
Absolutely. And the other thing is I've seen a lot of people compare Miller to a young Sean Alexander, and to me, that's high praise.
Hmm.
I
That's
mean,
interesting.
so
That's interesting.
it is. I mean, if he turns out to be, Sean Alexander-esque, that'd be great for Alabama.
He reminds me more of a Mark Ingram, his running style anyway.
He does. His I watched a little bit, of his snaps, and he does. He reminds me a little bit of Mark Ingram.
Yeah, and defensively, you talked about the defense for a minute, Jake. The defense, I have no complaints out of the defense. I mean, I know they gave up that one score, but Jake, that was really. I know, and Coach Saban kind of took the blame for it. He went for it there at midfield for no reason.
Right. Yep.
And so you put your defense in a bad situation with minimal rest, and it happened to be the possession that Will Anderson was not on the field. It was his time to, kind of be on rest and on light duty for one possession. So that was just really that wasn't just because the defense played poorly. It's because they were put in a bad spot without their best players. So it just, and ULM's got guys on scholarship too. Let's not forget that.
Right, exactly. But the defense, I have no complaints for about they were it seemed like they was in position where they're supposed to be. All the gaps was covered. Everybody was on a man, and it looked very fluid. And then special teams, like you said, we already know what we got with Roy Rockard, but my gosh, if that punt return team can continue that up, I mean, Alabama. I'm glad that Branch got the return, but I was hoping Kool-Aid would get one. But I mean, I know Kool-Aid was happy for him as well. But man, that punt team could set the tone for some of these games in the future for us.
Yeah, that could be a game changer if teams continue to choose to punt to Alabama. And just think, Jake, that was going to be JoJo Earl. I mean,
right.
Kool-Aid was our second option at punt returner. So
yeah,
people need to remember that as well. And I was just surprised that ULM continued to punt Alabama. I mean, when do you finally wave the white flag and just kick it out of bounds?
I mean, I would just shank it out of bounds before I would kick it to them. I mean, that's crazy,
but all in all, Jake, it's hard to really you can't take a ton away from it from the game, either positive or negative. You just kind of have to take it for what it is. Alabama did what they were supposed to do. They played well in all three phases, which you have to be encouraged by. And the team does show signs of improvement from the Texas week. The penalties were down, I think, 3 penalties in the entire contest. So the run defense continues to be
that's
phenomenal.
amazing.
I mean, I know they got like 70-something yards, but it took them about 40 carries. So the rush defense is fantastic for Alabama. Justin Aboybe, Jaheim Otis, Byron Young, DJ Dale, they continue to just be stout against the run. And like you said, both Henry To'oTo'o and Jalen Moody, and even guys like Deontay Lawson and Kendrick Blackshire, when they get in, they play fantastic too, Jake. So I really like the depth we have at inside linebacker. And with Henry To'oTo'o and Jalen Moody playing both really at All-American level right now, that's a good sign for your defense when you know what you have on the edge with Will Anderson and Dallas Turner. So it's just a matter of time before this Alabama defense really turns things up. And I think you're going to see, you really haven't seen the Alabama defense be truly, truly tested yet, because once Quinn Ewers went down, Jake, that really hurt the Texas offense. But come October 1st, and I don't want to look past Vanderbilt because they have 2 quarterbacks that are really solid guys, and we're going to talk about them in our preview show. But so that's going to be an interesting matchup there as well, and they're not just a pushover anymore. But the real first test for Alabama is when they travel to Fayetteville to take on KJ Jefferson and that Arkansas rushing attack that is just fantastic. So I think Alabama's in great shape right now. They show signs of improvement. The offense is starting to click a little more. The defense is firing on all cylinders. Will Anderson is doing Will Anderson things. He's getting pick sixes. So that's bad news for opposing defenses or opposing offenses. So all in all, I'm happy with where Alabama's at right now. I think they have a ton of room to improve. And once they show those improvements, Jake, they're going to be among the elite in college football, which they already are, but they'll be even more elite.
Absolutely. I have no complaints with the game this week, like you has stated, and the thing about Will Anderson, he's got the he now knows what it feels like to be in the end zone. He wants that ball. He's going to be even more hungry now. So that might be bad news, like you said, moving forward.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But that's going to wrap up this episode as we recap Alabama's dominating win over ULM 63-7 in Week 3. We're going to be bringing you a preview show of the Vanderbilt matchup later this week. So make sure you are subscribed to our channel so you don't miss any of the content here at Tide Talk Live. Make sure you ring that notification bell so as soon as we upload, you get notified that there is a new episode up. Like we said, give this video a thumbs up, help it reach 100 likes, and jump in the comments and let us know your thoughts on the Alabama Crimson Tide after their Week 3 win over ULM. But that's going to wrap this episode up. Thanks so much for watching. And until next time, roll Tide.
Roll Tide.